Welcome to the NonProfit Voice, a podcast series brought to you by NonProfit Pro, the go-to resource for nonprofit management and strategy. In each episode, we're going to sit down with leaders of nonprofit organizations, the people responsible for paving the way for our sector, along with key technology strategy partners who are transforming our industry. Here at the NonProfit Voice, we'll have refreshing conversations in which we will all learn more about the convergence of nonprofit and technology. Be sure to follow us on social media and visit our website to find more episodes of the NonProfit Voice. And you can download all of the NonProfit Voice episodes on iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify. We will have all the links down below. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the NonProfit Voice. My name is Nuti, and I will be your host for today's episode. And thank you so much for joining me today on today's podcast. I'm so happy to be back, and I'm so happy to have you here to join me on week 7, I think. I don't know. I lost count of quarantine. It's always nice to have a little company during these times. I hope everybody's doing well, staying safe, and of course, staying healthy through this time. I have 2 very exceptional guests on the line with me today. Please join me in welcoming Samantha Wright, Director of Development Operations and Analytics, Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina, and Jay Odell, President of Blackbaud Nonprofit Group. Hey guys, how are you both doing?
Doing great today. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today on today's episode. And for our listeners today, we are going to talk about, with everything going on in the world, we wanted to get Samantha and Jay on the line today to talk about how COVID-19 has impacted food banks and how food banks have responded to the global crisis. But before we get into the topic, let's get to know our guests a little bit more. So Samantha, can you share your background with us on how you got into the nonprofit sector?
Sure. So my undergraduate degree is in zoology, which was a lot of fun, and I love animals, but it left me kind of in a place of being unsure of what my next steps would be. So after some moving around and traveling, I ended up here in Raleigh, North Carolina, at the AKC Canine Health Foundation. And that's where I really realized that my place was in the nonprofit sector. So I worked there for a few years, and during that time, I earned my master's in public administration and a master's certificate in nonprofit management from Villanova University. And after I finished my master's degree, I started here at the food bank in November 2017. And really, it's been the most rewarding step in my career so far. We've got an incredible team, incredible leadership, and an amazing community to support us.
Great. And Jay, how about you?
I've been in the software industry for a little over 30 years now. I actually started my career as a software developer and wandered my way through a few different software companies, and then was very enticed and excited about what Blackbaud did, and joined Blackbaud coming on 17 years ago. Feels like yesterday, but been 17 years, and I've had the good fortune to have numerous roles at Blackbaud. I've been in our products team where I led the team that created our products called Razor's Edge NXT and Financial Edge NXT. I spent some time in our arts and cultural division, leading that group, serving museums, aquariums, and other arts organizations. And now I'm the president of our nonprofit group.
Excellent. All right, so let's dive into the topic of today. So Samantha, I'm going to have you lead this one. I'm curious to what steps your nonprofit took in responding to COVID-19.
Knowing that the need would be growing quickly and exponentially, we immediately formed our internal crisis planning team, which is made up of members of our extended leadership team across all departments. So we meet daily to discuss updates and changes to everything from human resources and our partner agencies and programs to supplies, services, communications, and finances. We also ramped up our communication to our extensive partner agency network to share best practices for everything from keeping their folks healthy and safe and passing along CDC recommendations, to monitoring closures and any changes that they've had to make to their daily operations. And our partner agencies are made up of different types of organizations such as shelters and soup kitchens and food pantries. And we have over 900 throughout our 34 county service area here in Central and Eastern North Carolina. So just as they have reported an increase in the number of families and individuals coming in need of food, our food bank has experienced a large spike in the number of people coming to us for emergency food. And we've also seen a significant increase in the number of visits to the Food Finder tool on our website. Being in a hurricane zone, we're no strangers to disaster response. And while this situation is certainly different, I think our experience has absolutely leveraged our ability to stay agile and react quickly and efficiently. And this was especially evident in our operations team's rapid implementation of a new ordering and loading process for partner agencies. So typically partner agencies would come and they would shop like a shopping style model here at our food bank, and shifting away from that towards a new ordering and loading process where we prepare their food and have it ready and boxed up for them to take has allowed for us to efficiently and safely get food out of our warehouses while minimizing the number of people inside. And we continue to monitor changes to services for our most vulnerable populations, which means changing the way we're getting meals to children and seniors in need. So that includes starting our Kids Summer Meal program early, and working with all the school districts to monitor how meals are being provided and where there are gaps in service, and shifting to home deliveries of our monthly senior box program. We've got fewer staff and volunteers on site, so we've had to make accommodations there, including bringing in outside volunteer groups. And just recently, we've got the National Guard here helping, which is incredible. So, we know that the supply chain challenges and economic impacts are not resolving anytime soon, but we are in this for the long haul.
That's fantastic. It seems like you guys are taking the necessary steps and getting a little bit more creative with your operations to keep things going, because there is a huge need right now for food banks. And I'm sure you're seeing the same thing where you are right now. Jay, I would love to hear your thoughts on some of the best course of actions for nonprofits in terms of crisis management.
Sure. At Blackbaud, we use a phrase called the resilient nonprofit. And we aim to help our customers and organizations either become or to continue being resilient nonprofits. And what we've seen is resilient nonprofits are prepared to handle a crisis like this and to thrive in a post-pandemic world. And what we've seen is that resilient nonprofits do four things. Number one, they connect their organization's people. That's staff, supporters and donors, beneficiaries. And you can do that virtually through communication and storytelling. For example, it's fine to send out a thank you email and update supporters without an ask in it. It's fine to send out a survey with no other purpose than just helping people connect and feel better. It's also okay to ask for something because people want to help. That's one, if they connect their organization's people. Number two, they diversify revenue streams. The online donation surge that we're seeing in a lot of sectors of the nonprofit industry won't last forever. People may want to start engaging on planned giving because of the uncertain economic times. You may also find yourself with a set of new donors because of the attention, especially with food banks. And some of them could become mid-level giving prospects. So diversifying revenue streams, really important. Third, kind of obvious, but closely manage expenses and preserve the focus of your mission. And then finally, just ensure that you have sustainable and resilient technology partners. You can't afford to have downtime, can't afford to not get support and assistance when you have an urgent need. And there are times in this pandemic time where people have urgent needs.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And Jay, while I have you on, can you share how nonprofits can ramp up online fundraising messaging on the onset of a crisis like this?
Sure. A couple of ways. I guess first, the best way to prepare is to prepare in advance. And so I'll say a couple things on that. Many food banks and organizations are turning to corporations or celebrities, or, and when I say celebrities, it could be movie star level celebrities or local newscaster or sports figure type of celebrities to help them. That creates a nice network effect. So that's one example. And we've seen numerous examples of that. We've had a customer who worked with Diddy and did a dance-a-thon on Instagram and directed them to a donation page that we helped them set up. We have seen a organization with a nationally televised concert. We had an organization that had a local televised benefit, again, all directing to their local donation site. We even have one customer, the North Texas Food Bank, who is having many of their supporters, including a local high school choir, do virtual fundraising on their own. So there's numerous ways to tap into sources of funds.
Awesome. And how can nonprofits manage large spikes in donations?
So first, I'll say that Blackbaud has built technology that's highly prepared to scale in crises and tragedies, and we've been through them numerous times, from the Puerto Rico earthquakes to hurricanes, the Australian bushfires. We've seen these spikes in fundraising, and so we have built systems to handle that. And I give one recent example. One hunger-related customer of ours had a televised fundraiser, and they use a Blackbaud product called Illuminate Online. We saw transaction peak of 1,954 transactions in a minute. That's 33 a second. And we had sustained transaction peaks of 28 total minutes with over 1,000 transactions per minute. And that averaged almost 1,500. And that was supported by our standard product, Illuminate Online. So that's number one, is we've built systems that scale to handle these types of situations. Secondly, I spend time with my team reminding people that this is first and foremost a human tragedy, and a distant second, it's a business disruption. And we're really fortunate that there are organizations like Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina and many other food banks that are providing real assistance to people who are suffering during these times and need access to food. Collectively, we have seen food banks increase fundraising by 1,300%, 1,300% in late March and early April. And it's because of celebrities, philanthropists, corporations, and others have stepped up to help meet the donation needs. A couple examples from our customers that we're honored to work with. Food Lifeline in Seattle received a donation of 1 million meals from Russell Wilson and his wife, Clara. The Gleaners Community Food Bank of Southeastern Michigan launched a Powered by Food initiative the same day that the governor announced the state would close schools. And within hours, support started to flow in. And they created a COVID-19 response hub that included local updates, resources, and a link to their fundraising form. They saw 1,100% increase in funding.
That's amazing.
And if you don't mind, I'll add one last thing, that we're highly prepared and honored to help food banks through this time, and other nonprofits, both with technology that scales and the ability to provide services and support to help them do that.
Yeah.
On the technology side, we have a high degree of monitoring in place and staff that are constantly watching our solutions to keep them up. But we've also helped food banks with things like optimizing the donation form for high conversion, optimizing the ask ladder, setting fraud prevention controls, and much more.
Oh, fabulous. And Samantha, can you talk on how you guys have ramped up your messaging for online fundraising, and then how you manage, because I'm sure you've seen large spikes in donations since the onset of COVID?
Yeah, we absolutely have. And Jay mentioned storytelling earlier, and I think that is really the most impactful way for us to share our mission at work, and it's especially true right now during this crisis. We are fortunate to have really collaborative teams here. Our development team works really closely with our programs and operations teams to get stories and information from everyone that's still working the front line. So photos, interviews, stories are continually being fed to our communications team, and that content is then able to be shared with our supporters. And we've created, our communications team has created beautiful infographics depicting how we are measuring the need and then quantifying our response. And we've been able to use all those materials across our platforms, and really the response has been overwhelming. We saw a 10-fold spike in daily online donations beginning on March 13th, and that's when our governor asked citizens to begin taking precautions against COVID-19, and that volume has just continued to grow exponentially. And fortunately, we have that sustainable and resilient technology partner in Blackbaud to help us manage this incredible outpouring. So we're just really in a fortunate place to have the right technology and processes and people in place to manage it all. We've got 2 full-time donor services team members that are working just as fast as they can to get gifts processed, and we've got a temporary staff member in to assist. And then we've got we work really closely with our direct marketing team that helps with our Illuminate online solutions, getting new donation pages out that are focused on COVID-19, having the right messaging and light boxes and thank you emails going out through all of that, because the volume is just tremendous. Fundraising records are being shattered here daily. As Jay mentioned, it's really an incredible response. We're awed and humbled by it, and most importantly, we're financially empowered to immediately pivot our operations to meet evolving needs. As I mentioned, we're meeting almost every day to discuss the current situation, and it's amazing how many updates we have every day that we meet to discuss.
Oh, that's so great to hear, and especially really good news in light of everything happening right now. And so, Samantha, while I have you on, I want to talk a little more about how has your food bank gotten creative in its fundraising efforts? Have you tried anything new that you haven't done before?
Well, I think really communication just continues to drive fundraising for us, and just content sharing across our organization. We are truly so strongly supported by our community. In a normal year, about 60% of our annual revenue comes from individuals. And I think that was so evident kind of immediately in the response from our community. And we've continued to push out content to them, sharing our messages of thanks and showing our shifts in operation. So we've shot videos here just on our iPhones, kind of walking around our warehouse and talking to partner agencies that are on the property. We have, worked with our direct marketing team to include that messaging throughout our channels online. Our local ABC affiliate, who's a really strong partner of ours, reached out to help and hosted a one-day virtual food drive for us. And at the time that ran, it was an organizational record for us for one-day online fundraising. And that was just really exciting for all of us involved.
Jay, in your role, what have you seen nonprofits do that has been really creative in their fundraising?
It's great to see a lot of really creative things. I mentioned a couple of them earlier where you see people contacting local celebrities and having them, film little videos or start a fundraiser or do a match like Samantha mentioned. I see a large number of organizations set up, COVID-19 specific either funds or resource hubs for both supporters and beneficiaries. And I'll leave it at that for now. But there's just a lot of great things that are happening out throughout the industry.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look on anywhere on social media, I'm seeing a lot of the use of influencers for nonprofits, especially since COVID. I think that's great. You're just putting a voice out there, putting a face to the organization, and those influencers, especially the ones that are really big on social media right now, they have a massive following and their followers love them, and they typically will try to support the things that they support. So I think it's a great avenue. Go ahead.
I apologize. I thought of one after I stopped talking that I thought might be helpful, especially for other food banks. I mentioned the North Texas Food Bank earlier, but one of the things that I saw that they've done that I thought was very clever, they've done a couple things. One, they pointed the public to purchase items on an Amazon wish list. As a way to kind of virtually get people involved. They shifted to low contact distribution models, and they have a program where hospitality industry workers who've lost income can sign up for paid work through the food bank. So it's both giving them access to people and volunteers to keep the operation going, and it's providing good to the community for people who've been displaced from jobs.
Very cool.
I would share that one thing that's really incredible and different with this type of fundraising response too is that we have been overwhelmed by the number of people reaching out to us and asking how they can help. So, while we are still having well-pointed asks out there, we've been just so humbled by the different kinds of cause marketing that's coming out of this for people that are just getting creative in ways to support us. We've had a local photographer doing front porch photography sessions and donating the funds to us, and different types of makers in the community that are donating the proceeds of their crafts to us. It's been really incredible to see all of the kind of boots on the ground fundraisers come out of this, community fundraisers come out of this to help us, and the strategies that Jay mentioned too. We're definitely working towards, and we're so grateful to have such a wonderful network of food banks. Our food bank is an affiliate of Feeding America, and we're constantly sharing, best practices and strategies and things that are working to kind of keep the good flowing. So it's really been amazing.
Yeah, and especially at a time like this, it's so important for everyone to band together to do as much good as possible. So that's really wonderful to hear. And so I have one more question for you guys, and it's a question that I ask every single one of my guests who come through on the Nonprofit Voice. Samantha, you can go first. What's one piece of advice you could give to nonprofits, if you could?
I will actually share the wise words of our wonderful president and CEO, Peter Warbicki. And this was advice from him to us when this crisis was really just ramping up. Mm-hmm. That is to take care of yourselves so that you can take care of your community.
Oh, I love that. And Jay, how about you?
I have to say, I love that one too.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Well, I guess first I'll just reiterate something I said earlier, which is I would really encourage organizations to do the things that we see resilient nonprofits doing, connecting the organization's people, diversifying revenue streams, managing expenses, and ensuring you have sustainable, resilient partners. But secondly, if you find yourself in a situation where you have an opportunity to have some kind of big event. Not everyone can have Diddy do a dance-a-thon for you, but most cities and locales have newscasters, football players, whether they're college or professional, who want to help. If you find yourself in a situation, work with your technology partners early. We've had the range where we had one organization tell us the day before that they had a big TV event happening and just hadn't thought to notice to tell us. And we scrambled and we helped them, and it was not an issue. But we've also had partners, including a food bank, that began working with us 2 weeks before an event, and we were able to help them do things like optimize their donation form for conversion. It's little things that people might not think of. Like, for example, if you're doing something through a corporate partner, and all of the employees of that corporate partner are logged into their network, even if they're virtual, it might look like it's coming from one IP address, and it'll be flagged as fraud. And so we can do things to help them. So that's my biggest piece of advice: is spend the time to prepare up front to make these events go well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great advice. All right, so that about wraps it up for today's episode. I want to take a moment to thank our listeners for listening on today's podcast. And Samantha and Jay, it's been such a pleasure having you both on. Thank you so much for joining us on the Nonprofit Voice and sharing your insights and expertise on managing this global crisis.
Thank you.
Fun, and I hope it helps others out there in the industry.
Oh, of course. I know our listeners love listening to this podcast, and they get a lot of insights and ideas and knowledge from the people who come on. So I have no doubt about that. So on behalf of Nonprofit Pro, we will see you in the next episode of the Nonprofit Voice. Have a great day.